Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. B, your Creole Connection, coming to you from the Louisiana Gulf Coast on a very overcast afternoon. We seem to be passing the recent cold spell, headed towards some warmer weather. Hey Google, what is the current temperature in Thibodeau?
Right now in Thibodeau, it's 51 degrees.
With a low tonight of 48. Hey Google, what is the temperature in New Orleans?
The current temperature in New Orleans is 50 degrees.
With a low tonight of 50 degrees. So we seem to be at our daily high, our day's high. Hey Google, what is the current temperature in Sydney, Australia?
The temperature in Sydney, Australia, currently is 68 degrees.
With a high tomorrow of 75. Other side of the world, other side of the clock. Hey Google, tell us a joke.
How does Darth Vader like his chocolate? On the dark side.
Well, you get what you pay for. Um, so let's talk a little bit about staying positive as negativity continues to increase. We're coming up on the second anniversary of the pandemic lockdown. I remember it well because it happened for us on Friday the 13th of March in 2020. I was sitting at my desk preparing for some meetings with teachers, and I started getting texts and emails from the district office and from the governor's office and from several health organizations around the state of Louisiana, all telling us to prepare students to be sent home, that they were going to cut the school day short. So rather than preparing for lunch as we were about to do, we put the kids on the bus and sent them home. And thus began 2 weeks of surreal activity. The whole country became a ghost town. And never seen anything like it other than 9/11, where for a couple of days no airplane was in the sky. And that was a very surreal situation. So uh, I keep hearing now people saying things like, today is a particularly stressful day for me, and I think I'm going to call in because I need a mental health day. Or I hear a lot of my friends say things like, I don't even watch the news anymore because it's just too depressing. And who can disagree with that? Some days are so dark that you can actually feel the darkness encroaching upon the goodness that you want to express to those around you. And this darkness is caused by many factors, from political strife, Democrats versus Republicans, now geopolitical strife between the United States and Russia, from rampant crime caused by despair and economic disparity, uh, police trying to do the best they can, but they're falling short. And so the police are pointing their finger at the district attorney. The district attorney is pointing their fingers at the city council. City councils are pointing their fingers at state politicians. And this whole vicious cycle is causing a sort of paralysis. Crime is escalating. No one is being held, or very few people are being held fully accountable. And there we go. It makes you want to give up on uh, the system. And then we get all this mixed messaging from the health organizations like the World Health Organization, the CDC, NIH, National Institute of Health. And it makes, again, like I said, it makes you want to give up on improving your character and just succumb to the darkness that's around you, capitulate. To which I say, resist that temptation and continue working on your character. Exercise your uh, privilege to talk to your Heavenly Father. Pray. God is there. He wants to talk to you. He wants to hear from you. It's a privilege to pray. And then go listen to some good music. Listen, there's something about listening to music that is performed by a divinely talented artist, someone playing an instrument virtuoso, or someone singing into a microphone on the stage somewhere or in the studio, exercising a divinely given gift. Something about that melts um, the negativity and the egotism that we experience. You get to appreciate good music from a willing vessel, and you get to glorify God for bestowing that talent on that vessel. It sure is a lot better than listening to the noisome pestilence of the talking heads of the mainstream media. That can become depressing. Now, I know this whole notion of good music is very subjective, but I'm not talking about genres of music. I'm talking about music that is devoid of gutter violence, that glorifies violence, and that dehumanizes and objectifies human beings. And that's what I'm talking about when I say good. I'm also not talking about shoving your head into the sand like an ostrich, or taking the blue pill and going and live on La La Island. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you need to learn how to accentuate the positive and to eliminate the negative. Now, that's not an original thought. My mother used to sing that song when I was a kid. I need to go find the lyrics to the rest of that song because it seems to have a great message. You say music doesn't do it for me? Well, what about art or poetry or literature? You know, it's been said that literature is to the mind what weights are to the muscles. It strengthens the mind, and that it does. You don't like in arts? Then some favorite activity that you have. For me, milling around old properties and absorbing the history of that. Prayer clears the head. A favorite activity keeps it clear until your attitude can be adjusted uh, and catch up. Now, this pandemic is taking a toll on even introverts, you know, the ones who are uh, bent towards social isolation and who enjoy copious amounts of alone time. But left to our own devices, isolation tends to make us more selfish, not less. And there's something about a hug, an embrace of a human being, and a smile that keeps us connected to the human family. And as we continue on this path of social distancing, these gestures are becoming more valued and appreciated than ever before. Speaking of more and less, what about this? More, more exercise and less excuses. More collaboration and less negative criticism. More content creation and less procrastination. When we are engaged in creating content, we typically have a positive vibe. We're creating positive things usually, and as a result, we tend to stay in a positive frame of mind. Well, let's return to the original thought. Is this whole COVID lockdown and social distancing much easier for introverts than it is for extroverts? Now, again, when I mention introverts, I'm not talking about hermits or uh, Rip Van Winkle wannabes or monks. Because whether you're introverted or extroverted, there's something intrinsically healing about being in touch with friends and family and touching and hugging and smiling and not arguing and being at odds with one another. There's great power in a hug freely given and freely received. I like to give school tips. Here's a school tip. When you are, especially teachers and administrators, when you are investigating, and I give these tips because oftentimes they can be, uh, they can also apply to family life. When you are investigating students' misbehaviors that you didn't directly observe, learn to ask direct questions without accusing. Did you take the Mrs. Brown's iPhone off of her desk? That's a direct question. And listen to the answer without suggesting anything, because in the answer oftentimes comes the answer, whether it's intentional or not. Because students tend to answer and they tend to stretch the truth, fib, white lies, outright lies, whatever. But they don't do it very well. And in their answer, you can usually discern the truth. You can become, and if you do it enough, you can become a truth detector. Kids don't lie well, for the most part. Hey, do you remember these lyrics? With a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hotspot, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Well, that's Joni Mitchell, 1970. Big Yellow Taxi is the name of the record. And I'm always struck by that last line. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. When I say paradise, when I hear the word paradise, I usually think of lush gardens, greenery, subtle breezes, a place that you want to be, a place that soothes and takes away stresses and is healing. Paradise. When I think of parking lot, I think of coal, concrete, pay to play. I think of business. And for some reason, lately, hearing that song, I think of the word feminism. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about feminine. I love feminine. I embrace it. I adore it. I think it's wonderful. But I'm not sure about feminism. It's amazing how things evolve from paradises to parking lots. Today, I'm going to replace my to-do list with a to-play list. I'm going to listen to some good music today. Remember, drink lots of water. For me, that sweet spot seems to be about a half a gallon a day. It tends to keep me hydrated and energized and keeps my appetite at bay. Also, breathe deeply, at least once an hour, where you are taking note of your breaths. You're breathing as deeply as you can. You're holding it and then exhaling. It does amazing things for your blood pressure. Pray, as we say, without ceasing. Pray while you're walking, while you're doing things, while you're engaged in activities. Keep a guard over the gates of your mind. Keep out the negative Nancy's. Keep them out. Keep out all of the intrusions, the negative Neds. Keep him out, because what happens is there is a battle for the gates of your mind, as negativity always trying to seize the gates. Stand guard. Today, these days, one of the seeds that's always trying to be planted in your mind is fear. I went and looked up some acronyms for the word fear, F-E-A-R. See what you think. One is false evidence appearing real. Well, I've heard that before. Forget everything and run. That's the polite version. How about this one? And as an educator, I can really resonate with this one. Failure expected and received. Boy, that may not be a law, because you're always going to have incorrigible people, but it sure is axiomatic. Because you get what you expect. If you maintain low expectations, you get low levels of achievement. If you raise those expectations, you get significantly greater effort, and you get a desire to achieve at a higher level. Even when that person is bumping up into their own limits, they still try. They try to please those who hold high expectations for them. But the one I really want you to think about and chew on for a while is this one. Faith, evidence, and reality. There's so much distortion going on in the world today. You need to be a researcher, not just PhDs working on their doctorate, but every person needs to do their own research. And get past all the distortions. Well, this is Dr. B. I'm your Creole Connection. Overcast day here in South Louisiana, but warming up. And we'll catch you in the next video.